a fantastically beautiful Monday morning, and I don't know about you, but Monday mornings I tend to spend having a little quiet think to myself. It's a little contemplation time, and I suppose one of the things I was thinking about this morning, because there was a lot of news and a lot of politics and stuff in the world at large, is how do we insulate ourselves against the world, against the negativity, against the pressure, against all the stuff that presses on us. And it seems to me that in order to insulate yourself against all of that, you have to do a couple of things. And the very first thing you have to do is you have to find peace in yourself, because you will never be able to find peace without unless there's peace within. You'll never be able to stop the world pressing in on you if you're already under pressure. You can't put out a fire if you're already on fire. So that's the very first start. So how do we do that? Well, we have to be very honest with ourselves. We have to learn to accept ourselves. That art of acceptance comes back again. We have to see ourselves clearly. Accept what we see honestly. Make changes where they're necessary. Be open to changing ourselves. Be open to changing that part of our lives, or perhaps our personalities, that doesn't work. I am a very good example of exactly that. I spend a great deal of my life not being honest with myself, and by extension not being honest with others, and as a result wound up in some fairly dark corners of my mind, until such time as I was forced to look at them and forced to make the changes. What forced me was myself, my deep unhappiness with myself, my desire to be honest with myself, and then to be honest with everybody else. So that's where that started. So you've got to be able to accept yourself. You've got to be able to accept life as it is, not how you want it to be. Be honest with life. It'll be honest with you. And once you've learned acceptance for yourself, it becomes easier to learn acceptance for other people. It becomes easier to have compassion. It becomes easier to have empathy, because now you're seeing clearly. Seeing clearly is everything that, if I call it teaching, I'm trying to teach, is how to see life more clearly. The more clearly you see it, the more honest you can be with yourself and with everybody else. So once we've got that acceptance down, that honesty down, then how do we use that to insulate ourselves? Well, we start by filtering the things that are important, the things that aren't important, but also learning how to accept that some of the things that are important don't have to make us angry. They can be important to us, but we can still see the calm option. We can see the positive way of approaching any situation. Calmness and positivity. The ability to breathe and smile, even in adversity. Central pillars of Taoism. I bang on about Taoism a bit because it gets a lot right. It may not be your bag, but it's not exactly mine either, so We have that much in common. Yeah, we've got to be able to filter life. And filtering life is easier when you're honest with yourself. It's easier to say, no, this doesn't measure up, and remove myself. It's easier to say, I can accept your point of view. I'm not going to rise to any debate because I can see that you're not somebody I can debate with or discuss things with. I can see that you're not somebody who wants to learn from me. And this is all about seeing life clearly. If we see life clearly, we see people clearly, we see personalities clearly. We see our options more clearly, until we discover that eventually in this way of being, that we don't need options anymore. Life simply flows along, and we flow along with it, because we don't have to make a choice anymore. Everything that we do is done as though it was the only possible choice, because it's the only possible choice. If you want to be honest and true to yourself, there is no option in that. There's always flexibility, there's always learning. So you can learn to change all the time. You can learn to change who you are. You can learn to change your attitude. You can learn to change your opinion. If somebody comes along with a better one, I'll listen. Once I've listened, if I can accept what they've said, I'll accept it. My opinion will change. Acceptance isn't about intransigence either. So when you've got all of that down, you suddenly realize that you can insulate yourself from the world at large, because you can choose what affects you by not allowing anything to affect you. You can choose what you put energy into and what kind of energy you put into it. You can put in a positive energy into something, or you can put negative, angry, corrosive, destructive energy into something. That's largely up to yourself. Might I suggest that positive energy is a better way of living? You can't, on the other hand, set boundaries, because setting boundaries is very tiresome. You have to set acceptance boundaries, things you will accept and things you will walk away from. Not things that I need to argue about, debate about, fight about. Only things that I choose and choose to have in my life. And then you'll be the same. Things that you'll choose to have in your life. I have to be open, not closed, because boundaries will eventually be breached by life. So I don't set boundaries on life. I set an awareness. And my awareness is very simple. I'm completely open. Yes, that leaves you vulnerable in a funny kind of way, but not always. What it will mostly allow you to do is to just have things flow through you. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, I don't agree with it. Okay, you've said it. It makes no difference and has had no impact on me. Not because I'm trying to keep it out, because I'm just allowing it to come in, go out the other side. I have no interest in giving it energy, so I'm not going to resist it. I'm not going to put up a boundary to resist the negative energy of this world or toxic people. I'm simply going to accept that they exist, accept that there isn't a whole lot I can do about them or who they are or how they behave. All I can do is be myself, accept them, allow what they say to flow through. It doesn't stick to me. And because I'm not wasting energy in creating a boundary, I have energy to pursue in other areas. So in the end then, all those boundaries that we put up, all those gates and blocks, all those walls, they will eventually be eroded and worn away. But you can't erode what's not there. And that would be the essence of Tai Chi. I don't try to block what you're doing. I allow it to happen as it's supposed to happen, as it's going to happen anyway. And in that, I simply turn, flow with it, let it go by me, and go back to the way I was, unchanged, unencumbered by whatever kind of external attack was coming my direction. Ta-da! So in the heel of the hunt from modern day living, when you see something on social media that boils your blood, take a moment, take a breath, take yourself out of that moment and look at yourself as though you were looking from outside. What would you tell that person if it was you seeing you behaving like that? You'd say, don't waste your breath, don't waste your energy. That person's an idiot, it's a troll, it's a whatever. It's not worth your time or your energy. And B-I-N-G-O, bingo was his name-o. It's not worth your time, it's not worth your energy. And that's how you insulate yourself. You don't. You step outside yourself and you simply say, I've no interest in this. I'm not giving this any energy. My energy is too valuable, too damn precious to me. My life is too valuable and too damn precious to me. I'm going to share it with as much joy and empathy and compassion as I can possibly give, with gratitude for what I have, with no want nor need. And I'm not going to entertain any kind of nonsense that wants to upset that peace, because I have peace. And peace was hard fought and hard won. It didn't just arrive in a blanket of tranquility. It had to be worked at, found, nurtured. And now that I have it, damned if I'm letting it go.